Meeting is being recorded.
Hey, well, welcome, commissioners, to our April 16th Flag Commission meeting. Got a great attendance here in the room as well as online. So hope you're enjoying the weather. And now we get to spend a couple of hours indoors to talk about our great project today. So I want to just start with the agenda item. The video has been posted to the website of our March, 19th meeting. And we have a motion to accept the video as our official minutes for that meeting.
I'll move that we accept the minutes posted on the county's website as our official minutes for March 19th.
Great, thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Carol. And all in favor?
Two online, three online.
Okay, three.
I have four online.
Okay, four online. Everybody in the room?
Oh, five online.
All right, so all 11, unanimous. So there's 11 of us. That's it?
Yep.
No abstentions, no objections, if we're all unanimous that are present right now. So the minutes have been approved. All righty, next we're going to move to staff report. We're excited to see or hear what kind of traffic we've had on the website and what the questions are, if we're getting any responses.
Yes.
So Brian, do you want to do that?
Yes, happy to share some analytics that Sean actually pulled for us from the website. So what we can see, this was pulled yesterday. I'll try and make it a little bit larger here. What we can see is that our visitors to the website peaked right on April 1st when we launched the portal, and that was, synchronized with the press release about the portal opening. And it's sort of had these little peaks and valleys over time here, but we kind of hit a stride of like 50 visitors was like kind of this hump right here at April 8th, so about a week after our launch. And so we haven't seen like a ton of traffic the last couple of days here. But it's really all kind of just ebbing and flowing right now. But we think that the word is getting out out there in the public, which is good. We have received 2 submissions so far in the last 2 weeks that the portal has been open. There have been no questions received to the website or to the Flag at Howard County email account about the process. So hopefully that means either people are seeing it and understanding it, or they're seeing it, but they haven't yet gotten into how do I do this thing. But at least 2 people successfully navigated and submitted something. So that's encouraging. We know that it works. I did, before we get too deep, I wanted to acknowledge that the approval of the minutes, if we want to handle this as a housekeeping item afterwards, we can, as a body, the body could choose to simply approve the minutes without any sort of further action going forward. So because they're recorded, the body doesn't have to continuously approve them. I just wanted to acknowledge that. We probably should have worked.
Or we could say that by consensus, we accept what's been posted, which is a good idea just to reflect that we know that's where they are and it's recorded in the minutes that we've done.
Acknowledge where it is.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Well, they're not being altered, right? I mean, there's no alteration.
no
No, it's just a filming.
I'm just asking the question.
There's no
Right,
question.
yes, I'm the one that asked the question, this is about the minutes. So
Mhm.
it's not being altered or anything, so if it's just a recording, then we always had that option, right? To be able to, we're either making our own minutes, and everything, taking that stuff and then deciding what we want to have be minutes, or just doing a recording. If the recording's a minutes, then we don't need to, right, we don't need to approve them, right?
That's correct. That is correct. If the body decides that it just wants to accept the minutes as the recording here on out, then we never have to approve minutes again.
So moved.
Do that.
Can I make the motion?
You may.
I did, I made the motion,
I'll second.
as he said it. Let's get that done.
Okay. All in favor?
1, 2, 3 online,
Four.
4 online, 5 online.
Okay, so unanimous?
Okay. So one housekeeping item out of the way. So again, there have been no questions received about the portal or the guidelines since it was launched. We have since the creation of the flag at Howard County MD, we've received 11 emails. And generally, those emails are who's eligible to participate, when does the portal open, what are the guidelines? These are all things that were received very early on before the guidelines and such were posted. Two commenters generally encouraged the county not to change the flag design, saying it was a waste of resources. There were very similar sentiment there. And then a couple individuals had volunteered to join the commission, which I responded, sharing the information about the commission's formation and what was already available on the website. So I've responded to all of the inquiries that we've received. And we'll continue to do so as those questions or comments come in. As far as promotion to this point, we did complete the flyer, which was shared with the group, and the translations, with the exception of Hindi. We're still waiting for a volunteer partner to help us with that translation and verify it. And all of those materials have been posted to the website and shared with the commission. And this content, or the existence of the contest, has been pushed out through the press release on the 1st, and then via social media through the official channels of the county executive in the county, through the county's executive's ball bulletin, which is a 50,000 subscriber weekly newsletter. And then we also have our partners at the library system, HCC and HCPSS, all utilizing their various channels to push this information out. That said, it doesn't hurt to share this more broadly, right? Like we certainly welcome any effort by anybody, whether you're a member of the commission or the public, to share this with your communities, your networks of people. So I think the more the merrier there, but did want to just acknowledge that this has been put out through those channels.
I would just like to add that I did look at the county's Facebook post on their website about on their social media, and there were 54 responses in terms of the icons. 52% of those either liked or loved the post. 24% laughed, and 26% were mad or sad. So I thought that those were interesting stats. And then there were 77 comments on that. And they were, mostly negative, and they ranged from that the current flag shouldn't be changed, or that they didn't know that there was a flag, and then that resources should be spent on other priorities like the schools, potholes, and crime. So that is what I saw on that post.
So is anybody going to be answering? I'm just curious, because I know that the places where I've seen it, because I captured that information too. I mean, I saw the comments and I was like, ooh, But, I can see that on the Facebook page Office Typical, that people, I see a number of people that complain that there's no response being given. And I just, and then the effect to me is if for someone to see that there is no response and then other people saying, oh, I know, they don't respond. The county never responds and so forth. So it just kind of builds into, like I'm seeing here, one of this, I'm not gonna say the whole name here and everything, but Jeff and everything is just simply why, asking about this. And then there isn't actually anybody from the county that's answering, that question. And then just seems to me like there's maybe there is no solution to that. I don't know. But if we're putting stuff out and everything, if anybody that takes a look these days and sees on social media what goes on with the county executive's Facebook page and then the Howard County government one, there seems like there's a group that just kind of descends on there, and and then they are saying quite frequently how, oh, don't bother asking, ask at howardcounty.gov, there's never an answer, so forth. So my concern is that we're doing something and then we're not really saying, are we saying like why we are, other than Calvin Ball asked us to do this. None of us ask this to be done. I didn't ask for this to be done. The county executive's office asked for this to be done. So other than that, is there anything to be said about, or should somebody from the staff be monitoring this page, is I guess what I'm asking, so that it does not continue to look quite, it's so negative, everything. So at least sort of try to defer it and to say, to make it at least look as if it's being responsive, like, please send your questions and comments to there, something, but this, when I looked at that 75, and now you said it's 77, I saw it when it was taken off, and then it's been shared other places, and some of those, I'm in those groups, and I see what they're saying. It's not.
Is this just Facebook that you're reviewing?
Yeah, just only, I don't think it really, I don't even know if it was posted on Twitter or not. If it was, I didn't see it. I didn't bother looking, but Facebook, yeah. Because this was the base post where it was when we got the email about sharing it, if we chose to on Facebook. I wasn't gonna share this one because all the negativity that was tracking with it. I saw it and everything. I was like, no. I'll wait. I was like, I'm gonna wait for direction.
So is it a significant volume of feedback in the social media world? That would be a lot of people.
Mhm.
You're getting thousands?
I'm not gonna say it's, I don't think anything is ever thousand.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
I'm not on Facebook, so I'm not compelled to respond to a Facebook post, so I don't know how they work.
Is there a link on the posting to, if you have questions, like, is it embedded in the post? If you have questions with a link directly to the flag ad, that might, sometimes that would encourage
Yeah.
people to understand that that's the way to convey an actual question to which you might get an answer. Generally speaking, the way in which things on Facebook are classified as comments, and when we have public comment here or in other posts, you're assuming it's an opportunity for someone to comment. It does not imply that you will get an answer. Sometimes you do or not.
You don't get
Yeah,
it.
you don't generally, comment does not generally.
I don't know.
But maybe if there was something just embedded in the email, that there's a direct link, so somebody doesn't have to go look for it, or somebody doesn't have to, that if that's what if you have questions or concerns or whatever, just embed that in every time we post or share or whatever. Just to make sure that it goes to a place where indeed you have identified already that you are responding to the things that come to flag@howardcountymd.gov.
And that is on the flyer itself.
But if it
Yeah, I understand.
if it actually works,
Step in the right direction. Yeah, to communicate.
just
That way.
whatever the link is, just get active.
Or does Facebook, can you do auto replies? Because we could add for more information.
You
Give
could
the link
probably
again.
answer to.
I don't even know how Facebook.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is, it sounds like folks are making comment, which maybe is not, something that the county can necessarily respond to. If folks are expressing their opinion about something, and that is a forum to express an opinion. So I guess, I certainly don't want to make a promise that every comment out there will get a response on Facebook. I don't think that that is realistic for staff. But I think we can certainly give folks better information about where to direct specific questions about the process. But if there was a question in that thread of, you know, how do I participate? Not necessarily, why is this being done? I mean, we could certainly direct them to the website where it explains a little bit of background of like how we arrived at this.
Yeah, that would just look better, in my opinion. I mean, you can't do anything about this more progressive loony left BS. You can't do anything about that's opinion. But this why with the question mark, and then the person's genuinely seems to be wondering like, why are they doing this or what, everything. And then it is allowed two people here to, I mean, you know, it's shaping the narrative is what it is and everything else. And it only makes it, I just think that for those of us in the field, so to speak, that are doing anything with this, that are working, that are trying to do something, our names aren't, like, I mean, our names are associated with this now. Everything in our organizations. And then the question of, I've been to places now and people are saying, yeah, what, you know, what is it? And right now, I'm waiting for our commission to really craft this to say like, okay, what should we be doing when we're outside of these, you know, here or online? You know, what should we, how far should we be, any of us individually be saying, you know, whatever, or just referring back to, well, if you look on the website, if there's something that you don't see on the website, let me know and I can make sure and see if we can try to get it put on the web, you know, something like that, but it's this negativity, right?
That's reasonable.
And talking points are often, elevator speech kind of, answer, and those are useful tools to assist so that we're all speaking in the same voice.
Yes.
Mhm.
But to Brian's point, in the staff report, there were how many emails to the Flag Commission? Email address?
11.
Correct. So, there is a way by which the public can ask questions and get feedback.
Mhm.
The staff does check it. So if anything, maybe make that link more visible, and, maybe educate the, people on Facebook to go to the right medium to discuss thoughts they want to be responded to, as opposed to just talking.
The comments.
Yeah,
Good point.
Mhm.
That is the point.
that is the point.
Thank you.
Yep.
And Brian, you can respond.
And while we're giving updates, before we get into the discussion, I just would like to add that I spoke to the NAVA group, the North American Vexillological Group Association. On April 8th, they had me join their monthly meeting, and I shared my screen and walked them through the website, and had a good conversation with folks there were two Brits and people from across the country, US, were also there. Interesting, they are a really great resource. I mean, they indicated that they do provide a number of free services to groups like ours that are going through the redesign of a flag. They will put together a team of NAVA reviewers to help with any part of the review process or all of it. So they would go in and they would just be looking at the principles of, a strong flag design, and come back with some, and then just select them, narrow them down as far as we ask them to do. And then they also offered to come and provide a coaching program for us if we wanted to invite them to one of our meetings, and they could coach us about the process and what they've learned in their experience of working with other communities who are doing competitions and redesigns. So they could, do that, and we could ask them questions about some helpful hints. They also provide designers to create vector files for designs if and when we're ready to go to publishing or printing. For instance, if we wanted to, create some samples of the final 3 designs and we wanted to get something professionally done to present to the county council. They have designers to do that as well. And, yeah, so they have a number of services, so it's something to think about as we're going through, and, if we do need help, they're just an email away, so. Alrighty, so we are going to move on to the discussion of, how we're going to go about promoting this opportunity and to solicit design submissions. So I think Brian has some information he's going to share with us on screen.
I don't have anything on screen, I apologize. So no, I shared in the staff report that the channels that we're currently using are social media, the Ball Bulletin, email address, email 50,000 subscribers, and our various partner channels through HCC, the library system, and HCPSS. So those are the ways in which we are currently putting it out, and then through like grassroots level contact through some of our commissions, for instance, La Alianza is having an event this evening, and there will be promotional flyers in Spanish at that event tonight to give out to the public.
What group is that, Brian?
It's La Alianza Latina,
Okay,
and Catherine is raising her hand. Catherine, did you
She's
want to make a comment?
from that group, yeah.
Very quickly, so I sent the flyer and the rubric to our chair and vice chair. I haven't been able to pass it along with all of the commissioners because that we didn't want to have quorum in case there's kind of discussion and decision making on our end. So far, the only feedback that I've gotten is just that in the flyer on the image of the flag itself, the text is still in English. I think it's like your design here. So very tiny detail, if that could be translated as well, but probably a little bit more feedback to come. I still need to find a way to communicate all of the updates and get the feedback without having to have like a formal commission meeting.
Thank you, Catherine.
At the library, we have put the flyers in all of the branches. I mean, a few hundred flyers in all the branches so that the customers can take them. And we've done the Spanish ones, although yes, they do have that English text on the flag itself. And we've put Korean as well at the Miller branch, because that's a predominantly Korean area. So we haven't done the other ones, I think Chinese and.
Okay, Lan, I see your hand is up.
Yes, so the AAPI Commission has our commission meeting coming up next week. So I can share the information out with all commissioners. I think Brian mentioned at the beginning that there was a plan to have the flyer translated into Hindi, but you are having difficulty finding a volunteer. Is that something that I can ask the commissioners to help with? Would you like that?
Yes, I actually, through one of our other staff members, had connected with one of the AAPI commissioners.
Mhm.
Volunteered to do this. We just haven't heard back with that final translation, so I can follow up with you offline.
Okay.
To make sure that we, touch base with that individual again.
And we certainly should have them at the API Festival on May 11th. That would be a reasonable thing to have the flyers there we have the Hindi one and we have the Korean and Chinese. That would be a good idea. And some in English and Spanish because people will be coming from across the community. So have all five available. I
Yeah.
can make sure we put those out.
Thank you, Alan. And, everybody is welcome to attend the May 11th AAPI Festival.
Good.
Thank you. Yeah, at the Arts Council, we're doing social media, both on the Arts Council's site. We've printed flyers and handed it out to all the resident artists. And we're doing little blurbs in our artist opportunity, that is done monthly in the mid-month, so it will also be going out in that.
And I can volunteer that the Historical Society will send it out to our mailing list, okay, the people that are members and, presenters and everything, so that it goes out. And I will put a post up in social media.
When I dropped some off at the Historical Society as well,
Okay,
some of the flyers.
okay, good.
I'll just speak up on behalf of the agricultural community. We have shared the brand new announcement with the board of directors. We will have it in our May newsletter, and I believe we posted that day to our Facebook page, which is Farm Bureau's Facebook page. Then a couple weeks ago, I announced it at the end of a work group meeting, which included all the agricultural community leaders. It was called the West Friendship Park Work Group. So I announced it there with enthusiasm. And then Thursday night, we're having our spring legislative banquet, and I will announce it there for our council members and our delegates to also hear about. And on Friday, we're having an Ag Awareness Day with 7th graders. We're piloting under Dr. Ball's YET program, and we'll have 250 7th graders there. I'm going to see if I can announce it there. I'm not sure yet. But I'll
If you
def-
don't, I will.
Oh, well, let's wedge it in there because the kids need to hear, because that's where enthusiasm just emerges.
Well, I can also volunteer to put it out through the Fine Arts Advisory within HCPSS. Okay, and, the League of Women Voters is having a BOE forum on Thursday. So we can have copies there as things of interest to people who are interested in what's going on in the county. So I'll do that.
Great.
And just in terms of the social media, I'm sharing it with just, not as chair of the commission, but I'm just sharing it as, here's this great opportunity, hey, HOCO artists, or, that sort of thing. And I have been advised that we should not mention that, that we're, commissioners to be selling that way, so.
That's good.
Yeah, I've done the same on my affairs.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of people say, we don't need to change our flag. But I have a great answer for that.
What is your great answer? Because we might need it as a talking point.
No, I mean, modernizing and change is the name of agriculture, so we're gonna be a part of the process.
Yes, and we have also shared via Visit Howard County on our social media. So it's out there, on our channels. We have like 30,000 or so followers.
And we should have some at Springfest.
We have it, we can actually put flyers in the Welcome Center. I mean, that's the only way we would be able to get them out at Springfest, but we can do that.
So that's a great venue to be able to have flyers, physical flyers at, so.
I'm gonna send an email right now to the staff to print them.
Thank you, Amanda.
We can download that flyer and take it to Staples and get it color printed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll donate all that to the cause. I need to make copies.
But especially if we've got ones in different languages, we'd like to make sure that
That's a good
we're
one.
communicating that. And if we need to make new ones, we can provide people with do we have a QR code?
There's a
There
QR.
it is.
Okay.
Yes, it's right in the middle. Nice.
So even if that's what we have on some of the tables at like API or something like that, that's enough for people to do and get it themselves and figure that they've got it. But it's nice to have something physically to put in someone's hand. But sometimes people have too much in their hand, so they're perfectly okay with, you giving them the QR code.
Yeah. Now, I think that the, on the flags in Chinese and Korean, I don't think that that has been translated either, as it's still in English on that, so all of those have to be,
And that's a pretty easy statement. I mean, that's not a hard thing to get somebody to translate.
Great.
Clarence,
Do we have access to a color printer in this building?
Yes, yeah, we could run.
Because we got that 9 a.m. meeting tomorrow morning and I didn't make copies. Oh, well,
Oh, it's for tomorrow.
well, the work group's meeting tomorrow, so there'll be about, what, 25 people there, 30?
Oh, with the, oh yeah, the
That
West
would be-
Friendship.
yeah.
Okay, I could run some copies after this.
If you have time, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I think they should know. I announced it, but they need
yeah,
something that,
it physically makes it.
yeah, a lot of diversity there.
All right, well, I mean, that's a lot. Those are a lot of activities that the members are doing, so thank you all very
And
much.
it's all
We
within
just
like the next 3
continue to-
weeks.
Yeah, and continue to do it. We have, until June 30th. Anyone else, anyone online have any other comments to make about promotion?
I'll add one, Colleen. I read the ball bulletin. It's very long. Scrolling. And the flyer looked great and the paragraph was great, but it was really sort of in the latter, the end, maybe one of the weeks. You can condense it.
Could we move it up in
I
the
get it.
bulletin?
Yeah, I get it. There's important things. It's just a friendly suggestion. That ball bulletin is packed with info, which is very impressive. But the flag thing was
Might be lost.
really good. That when I hit it.
Yeah.
People have to.
All right, so Anne Marie, I see that your hand is up.
You're muted, Emery.
Anne Marie? Did you want to? Okay. Okay, Aaron, I see that your hand is up. Do you want to add to the conversation?
Let's move.
That doesn't sound.
Okay,
Just hammer away at it.
so Catherine, I see your hand up. Is that, do you
Yes.
want to have something to add to the conversation?
Just a quick question. Will there be consideration to compensate nonprofit organizations for doing advertising and marketing?
We don't have a specific line item for such. I think we could talk about it offline and see if there's something, are you thinking of a specific nonprofit organization? And what would, I think we should probably talk about it offline.
Okay, sounds good.
Aaron, your hand is still up. Did you want to add to the? let's see. Aaron, no, you took her hand down, so all right. All right, any other items of business in terms of marketing? No?
I
All
think
right.
this sounds like some very comprehensive outreach and between the schools and on the education front in terms of students either in K through 12 or in college, we're at least making a hit there. And then through the county's groups and then all the different groups that have said the library. It sounds like we're getting information out there through a variety of options that people look at or check out or whatever. So we probably have a legacy coming out in the next couple of weeks, so we could put something in there too for the Historical Society. There are a lot of things happening as we're coming to the end of the year, so we might find that there are some other fairs at some of the schools, things that are happening. And Holy is this weekend. I guess maybe I should have something Holy. Okay, I'll put something Holy week. You can't get the Hindi, I'll find something.
Thank you, Ellen.
Is there an organization, like, just wondering, is there, does anyone know of, is there maybe a professional organization of folks whose who do this like for a living. I'm not saying make flag designs, but I'm just saying, people who like graphic designers. Shouldn't there be like so I'm wondering, does anybody know off the top of their head? Maybe we should be trying to find maybe there's Facebook pages that have those groups too of graphic designers and so forth. So, if there's a Maryland, I just kind of think there should probably a Maryland organization for one. The question is there one local, a Howard County one also? Graphic design and any other affiliated organizations like that, and then, because, maybe they might be interested in, it's an honor to be even a finalist, it's a way to,
Yes.
Even if you're a finalist, then let me get that right. That's at the point when you're one of the semifinalists that your name actually gets revealed, right? So it'd be a way to let people know, they would get some money, but also not the goodwill, but yeah, the say like, hey, I was able to do this, and so I could foresee that there could be some people that would be interested that are there. We just have to reach them.
Yeah, and
So
like
we just try to find them.
HCC's, they have a design and illustration department, so we can certainly do that. And then
I could look at
Beck
ACS.
is a graphic designer, isn't? Aren't they?
ACS will include it in one of their bulletins, so at least that goes to a wide range of nonprofits. It may not be something of interest directly to the nonprofit, but to the people who are clients of the nonprofit, people that are working with the nonprofits. It's another way to get. And they do offer that. That's a service to the nonprofit community to make sure that they understand that opportunities are out there to be part of it and to feel, a part of it.
And anybody who's working with graphic designers, certainly I hired some for the limited publications that we do print. But, they all have, they all meet together, I'm sure, and have, like you said, Facebook conversations, pages, where they, discuss things.
Do we talk to CA?
CA,
About-
we do have.
Aaron.
But Aaron's the archivist, that's not going through the villages and stuff. I think if CA would put these in the community, the village centers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
She may know who does, because I think that they have to get sometimes they probably have somebody, I know that they do. They have somebody who does this stuff for them over at CA, so.
And they certainly have great marketing.
Yeah.
I just want to mention, I'm really glad you brought this up, because Googled it to see if we had an association. I don't see that, but at ARL, we have a career academy in graphic design, and those kids should
Well, that would
not
come. to
just see a
school.
flyer, in their high school. We should target that again.
Well, if they're at the ARL, some of them are at the ARL for those graphic design classes. Some of them are taking them at their home schools. So if HCPSS is including it in their.
If they're doing it.
Well, they said they have a partnership.
Yeah.
So we'd like-
I know, but you know how it is.
But
So I go into ARL weekly for the Ag and Science Academy, and I just feel like I should run over to the Graphics Academy and hand this out.
Can you just drop
Well,
something?
Yeah, sure,
Yeah,
because
so-
sometimes those things don't get posted.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'll get posted in August or something, so yes, it's best to go direct.
So, yeah, also, if you have room in your handbag,
Academy, so I'm really-
just carry the flyers with you and drop them off wherever you go.
And then as far as from St. John's, we have a couple of sister churches that we work with. We'll talk to them. And we're also, in partnership, cool with, just to say up, straight up,
Thank you.
we're cool with various denominations, faith-based groups that we can talk about this to. And also, we have a contact with PATH, but I'm pretty sure like if PATH knew about this, they could get out to their people, because they know all kinds of nonprofits and stuff. So,
People working together for her.
Oh, people working together. for help.
Okay,
people.
Acting together, sorry, there was a wrong letter in that.
That's cool.
What?
Nice
Not
acting.
with acting, with acting. together.
well, keep thinking about ways to promote it, until the next time we meet, and keep doing it. And we appreciate you, all the work that you're doing to get the word out. And thank you all very much. So next on the agenda is design and review, a discussion about design review and scoring processes. There's going to be several that we're going to have to come up with, and And so we just kind of like to start as a conversation. And now Brian is going to share something on the screen for us, just to.
To visualize on this. So just for reference, this is the document that we looked at at the last meeting. And we talked through a possible process. Feedback on that? Okay. So just for reference here, in September, and this is per the executive order, the commission's job is to get a top 10 list to put up for a public vote, basically. So the timeline is not prescribed by the executive order. The getting to the top 10 is prescribed, just so I'm clear about that. But I just wanted to kind of frame the whole point is how do we get to a top 10? So again, is this the only way to do it? No, this is not the only way. This is just some things to consider. So did you have a question before we get too deep?
I was just going to bring up, it was brought up by Colleen how, NAVA is very willing to help us. And tonight we're going to discuss the scoring process, the actual scoring rubric. I think it might be a good idea if we make that tonight. That would be our kind of draft that we submit to NAVA. And between April and sometime before September, they could get back to us and say, okay, this is a great rubric. And if not, they give us feedback. But I think doing that would help. And then also to Marlene's point about public opinion, if the public knew that we're taking steps to get, outside assistance with the program and, or the committee and the scoring, I think it would give everyone greater confidence that we're doing a good job.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments. Appreciate that very much. Maybe we'll have a discussion and come back to it to see how far we get. Just right now, there's nothing to really, kind of agree upon at this moment in time. So,
Erin also had her.
Erin,
raised again.
did you have your hand raised?
Can you hear me
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry about earlier. My microphone wasn't working. I just wanted to mention before, sorry, this is kind of off topic now, but again, I couldn't get through. I'm so sorry. I did share this flyer with CA. So yes, I am the archive, or, work for the archive, which is a department of CA. So it kind of is up to the other departments to share it, such as like marketing and communication. But I did share it with them and they said that they will. As for the villages, yeah, that is up to them. CA, doesn't just share things for the villages or anything like that. And then I also shared it with specifically the Art Center, which is another department of Columbia Association, and their director said that they will be sharing it out with their affiliates since they are a part of the art world. So again, I'm so sorry and sorry to kind of be off topic.
Yep. Well, thank you, Erin. Appreciate it.
Okay. So with this little frame, again, I'll put this huge caveat on everything. I don't know it all, and I'm just presenting some things to think about. So, how does the commission score these things, or how do we arrive at the top 10 ultimately? Does each commissioner score each submittal, for example, in a range of 1 or 0 to 1,000 points? Or does each commissioner look at all of the submissions and say, these are the 10 that I like the most? And sort of come up with a ranking of those things. It's very difficult to say how many submissions we will have. But so this is just something to consider. If the commission were to go with a scoring of each individual submission by each commissioner, one way to do it would be to take that guideline criteria table that was discussed and approved at the last meeting, and assign essentially a number value to each one of the rows, each one of the criteria that says, if you did not meet the guidelines, you get 0 points in that row, up to, this is very strong, and it meets all of the requirements, and you get 3 points. So in that scenario, a design could get 18 points because there are 6 rows. So an 18 point would be a perfect score and would likely be one of the top 10 of any individual commissioner. Another more simplified version of that would be to just look at the entirety of the submittal, and each commissioner say, I'm gonna assign it 0 to 3 total points, from does not meet the guidelines overall to 3 being it's perfect and it's very strong. And this would be a bit more simple, not as granular. And it would be, again, that holistic, not getting row by row by row by row. 2 options to consider. If the commissioners do individually score each design, there are a couple ways that we could go about arriving at a top 10. One way would be to take the individual score assigned by each commissioner from 0 to 18 points, or 0 to whatever, however many points that each commissioner wants to assign. And then aggregate those, just add each one of those raw numbers together to come with a total number for that particular submittal. So that total number could be anywhere from, if it's in 0 to 18 range, 18 times 19 commissioners could be your total number of points that any one submittal could get. Another option would be each commissioner essentially just ranks a top 10. And they assign a maximum number of points. So in that scenario, each commissioner would have up to 55 points they could assign. A perfect number 1 ranking would be a 10-point score, and a number 10 ranking would be a 1-point score. And then all others would receive 0 points. And then basically all of those scores would go into the bucket. We would add them all together and say, based on all of the submittals and all of the commission feedback, these were the top 10 scoring in order, essentially. So just to visualize that a little bit further.
You could also, this is just math, okay? You could also divide it by the number of commissioners and say that the average score, as opposed to dealing with numbers that were 1,460, you get down to something that's a little more manageable. But based on all scores submitted, based on everything submitted, this is the average score. And it's exactly the same concept, as just pulling it down into a number that's a little more
manageable. Yes.
Then we might lose what we were talking about right by the more of the 6 digit.
So the raw score aggregation, this would be everyone assigns a point score from 0 to 18 for each design. This is how it might look. So design number 1, Commissioner Smith gives 18 points, loves it. Commissioner Boston, 12 points. Commissioner Welch, 8. Stein, 2. You get 40 total points. And you can kind of see how this breaks out. I'll say in this scenario, one downside is if Commissioner Smith gives 18 points to every single design, or 18 points to all of their favorite top 10, and others are more discerning in the way that they allocate points, Commissioner Smith's voice essentially gets a louder, they get more of a share in the total number of points that are allocated. I'll distinguish that from the next option, which would be where essentially everyone gets to take a top 10 and apply a maximum of 55 points. no commission member gets to assign more than 10 points to any one submittal. And they can't have ties essentially. So you have to assign between 1 point and 10 points to your 10 favorites, essentially. And then those all go in the bucket and everyone's voice is weighted evenly on the commission. Because there's no one that gets to assign more points because they're less discerning, or less points because they're just so critical, right? So
So
these are some options to consider.
let me interrupt for 1 minute. So which of these two processes uses the rubric that we labored over 2 meetings ago that had the scores of 0, 1, 2, and 3? Which one forces the thinking aligned with the guidelines or the principles that we had in our score sheet? Is it the first example you gave,
So
or is it this one?
I would suggest that any of the above examples could utilize and should utilize at some level
Okay,
that criteria.
so I don't get it for this one, so explain that to me.
So in this scenario, if an individual were to, and they would review each of the submittals.
Yeah.
All that exercise for the commissioner would be reviewing it against the rubric and saying, okay, I like it, it meets all the requirements, and they can assign a value, or they can say, I think this ranks number 3 of 10 to me.
That's what this one is.
That's essentially
So,
this.
but we would still be told to use the rubric,
To guide your
Correct.
thinking.
because this could disincentivize thinking about the principles and individually for the evaluation. In other words, I didn't do it, it's 10 PM at night, I gotta get this score in tomorrow, I'm just gonna go through and my gut reaction, and I'll just put some numbers down. I don't want us to do that. But you're saying no, both of these examples use the rubric, 0, 1, 2, or 3, and then this example, somehow
You apply those and decide.
I look at my top 10 scores and I say I have number 1 as this one, and it has 10 points. And then I go all the way through 10. So I'm still subjectively, it's still numeric, right? I'm using data. But I'm being asked to do this ranking for the process. Okay. All right, sorry, I'm a little slow tonight.
No.
No, it's
People
very,
tell us to do.
What
Yes, people say,
what do they recommend?
that's what I
they,
want to know.
they're gonna come in and say, let us do it for
Yeah, I want to know what
you.
people say, 'cause I think we're getting ready to reinvent the wheel, and we might do it badly.
Yes.
And run the whole wagon off
Yeah.
the road. So I'd like to know from somebody who already did it, what was best practices.
Okay, so I'm hearing that a coaching, having somebody come in to kind of talk about that process before we make any further decision would be really a
Yes.
great opportunity. Yes.
One of the things I see clearly is, yes, we have 6 criteria or categories, but they're not necessarily all weighted equally. You might find that the image is arresting, you find yourself attracted to that, and that outweighs the fact that maybe they used an extra color or something like
Yeah.
that. So what you want to make sure,
Subjectivity.
yes, because
Yeah.
we are talking about something that's graphic and we wanted to appeal to people and connect to people. We're also looking at the story they tell and whether we
Yeah.
think that's reflected in there, which isn't as easy to reflect in a table.
Yeah.
So making sure that we understand how to apply those 6 categories with the coaching from NAVA sounds like a good idea. And then we can feel comfortable that we've used that information in order to make
Yeah.
our decision, but it still is individuals making.
I do a lot of scoring of a lot of things and I'm really data driven, so I just wanted to make sure one process wasn't incentivizing that seat of the pants. Well, I like this one. And it's not.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and I'd like to also ask, I don't know if this is possible or not, but I think I can already imagine that this is going to be beneficial to our commission. And that is, along with having coaching, so to speak, from these people who have already done what we're endeavoring to do, I'd like to see if there's a possibility for us to have a dry run. Take some flag designs from all over the world, wherever, want.
Mhm.
And let's subject, when that does come into play and says, okay, this is so that we can see, like, and we can all have the experiment of seeing this, running through it, and so that we can be talking about this, so that all the commissioners can understand, you know, yes, when you do this, and everything, this is because this is how it's looking, whatever, and everything. That, I think, would be really, that'll help, again, to Jonathan's point about instilling confidence, which we have a problem with that, and we have to overcome this, and it's a problem for our commission. Everything, so I just think that the more that we're seen doing things like that, I mean, that first article, what was it, I forget, the news Patch or somebody, when it first got announced about our commission, I mean, they filleted us. I mean, those, and I know exactly who they are. They're in that one Facebook group in particular, everything, and they just absolutely, they filleted us, and they still continue to do so. Everything. So anything that we can do to try to show them that we, you know, to break from this barrier of like that, this notion that we don't know what we're doing and we're just flying by the seat of our pants or anything, I think will help us, and it'll help with the adoption. Especially since with the timeline, if all this is leading towards that it's going to be presented to county council, well, that'll be yet another opportunity for people to come in and weigh in with us, and then county council to try to derail it or wherever else for that reason. If they're gonna, we can't please everybody, but I think the more that we insulate ourselves when we already know that this is something that is not desired, you know, by some number of people. So we have to, that's what we have to.
Before, just don't want to cut you off, but I know that Amanda has been waiting patiently online with her hand up, so.
I've been thinking too. So I may just need a reminder, but who is vetting I guess the description, the 250 words that speaks to, you know, why they, you know, designed what they did? Is that, are the commissioners going to see that, or is that?
Yes, that is something the commissioners will see.
Okay, are we scoring on that?
That is what that one criteria that we have already set up on the rubric is for, yes, on the narrative.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Great.
kind of going back to Ellen's point, if I could, before, you might run into an instance where that description is underwhelming. But the image, you might, yeah, you might be captivated. You never know, right? And then how is that way, right? Among your
That's what I'm saying,
decision.
they're not equal. We're not, each of these things is not mutually exclusive or, you know, or equally weighted. They're all factors to be considered, and it's up to us individually to decide which one we think captures most effectively what the impact of flood is going to be.
You know, when we do our top 10, sorry, cut you off, are there any requirements for us to submit or show a rubric? So for example, I'm picking 10 flags, right? I think they're awesome. Now, do I just say, okay, team, here's my 10 and you trust my scoring? Or should there be some kind of requirement or accompanying document that we show how we reviewed and scored each one? Even if we're not going based upon metric, at least there's some kind of reference to show that we actually looked at as opposed to just, you know, jelly beaning it.
Right.
Or
I would-
it could be a description of this
That's
code.
right, we should be anonymous, right? Are we gonna be anonymous?
Are we going to be?
Yeah.
We can be. I mean, the group can make a decision as to whether we're anonymous or not. Whether we have to sign that these indeed were our votes.
I wanna get asked at the checkout at Giant, at the self-checkout, what this number, why did you? I mean, why? I don't wanna do that.
Well, it could be like Commissioner 3, Commissioner 4 said,
It could.
well, you know, I mean, we don't have to do it, but just an idea, because to, you know, Marlene's point, and then also to Barb's point, we want to give some assurance that to the public that we not only, you know, narrowed it down from 500 to 10, but we actually scored them at each phase of the scoring process. That's my only comment there.
I would agree with that. I think that it's a good idea that for us to have something that goes along with our decision making, that we've checked these boxes. and even maybe put our comments as to why we have checked those boxes.
Yeah, because
But
let's say,
without a name, I
Without a
agree,
name,
I
it has to
agree
be
with
anonymous.
another number that just says, this is what this is what was received. This is what was thrown into the hopper to be, aggregated and balanced. But this is where the data, this is the original data.
Which makes it even more important that we have a dry run, I think.
Right, and I guess then my question would come to, do we want to do that with all 500?
No.
So again, we're talking about different processes for different, for
I think
different
it's
steps. So we're gonna have to come up with those different processes for each step.
Yeah, Colleen,
So how many people watched the video that I sent?
did you send it to us?
Yes, I sent a link to everybody
Yeah.
about, does your state flag fail, I think was the name of it. It was gray, something grades the state flag. And it was, sent to us by Olivia, who was one of our public people who came to speak, and she recommended that we look at that. I reviewed it. I thought it was a great way for a non-numerical person to go through and determine the status of how to weigh the various flags. And it's a nice conversation that one could have with oneself as you're going through 500 designs perhaps. And so I can resend it to you guys. And so, because it's only 18 minutes long and
It's not long at all, and it is a challenge you a little bit.
It does.
But it makes you think about other flags, okay?
Right.
So it prompts you to start doing that, even though you're not having them in front of you necessarily, but thinking about, I always wondered about California,
So
you know?
so Ellen, would you say the video is good enough where if we actually watched it maybe twice, it would,
I think it
Feel
would
the
help
need
us
to have-
settle, I think it would help us settle in our minds that these are valid criteria, and as we look at these flags, we're doing them, but we're not applying the same criteria, in the same way to every flag we look at.
okay, let me ask this way.
Mhm.
Should we still bring NAVA in?
I think so.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I
I'm
think
just
this is
saying,
the way
but
to
this
get
is
us-
just another way to think about it so that you guys get your minds wrapped around.
Yeah.
If we do get 500 flags, how are we going
How are we
to,
gonna know?
what would that process be about? So. Yeah. Guys, get some.
Thank you for sending the email. I agree with the coaching webinar totally, and I bet you they have a dry run toolbox.
Yep.
And we don't need to make our own.
No.
Let's to go the path of least resistance and get them to help us.
Well, also to show that it's sort of unbiased and it's been
Yeah.
presented by a group that this is what they do professionally and they're helping us through this process. I think that's a good, take the advice of the professionals.
I have
Maybe
one other
not be-
point. Oh, I would wonder what you all thought about this. So if we have a cap of, if we get 50 submissions, then we do this process this way. But if we get, 500, then we start with a different approach. And that would be like groups of us scoring. I don't know where the cutoff is. I don't know if you all want to look at 100 individually or what, but I'm just wondering to myself, because I expect us to get like 500 of these, but I may be wrong.
I always anticipate
But if
more.
we do-
I always think, we're gonna get it over, right? And,
So I was wondering that. I'll leave it there, but,
I think these are all
Nav
really
will
good
tell.
questions that, again, if we do have this coaching session, that we can ask these kinds of questions, so be sure to write that down, for that. Now, if I'm trying to schedule these folks,
Yeah.
they may not be able to do a Tuesday night. I can try to get a few dates from them to see and then do a.
Email thing like last time.
Like we did the last time.
Okay, so, all right,
beautiful.
okay.
So just to recap, you're gonna send out a doodle for the NAVA meeting training.
Once she's gotten from them.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's that. And then do we want to call a motion to that when we do our top 10, for each committee member's top 10, they will fill out some kind of scoring rubric. Can we call a motion for that?
That we want to accept that.
That you
As our
want
top-
to
to get
want
our
to-
top
you
10.
want it, when we
Yeah,
get to
stop
that
it.
top 10, you want an official record. So, so sure.
If I can be clear about that, are you suggesting that each individual commission member would provide a scoring sheet for their top ten?
Yes.
Yes.
Their top ten,
Yes.
not necessarily, okay, I got it, yep.
So we have it on record.
Second.
That's what it-
Boom.
It's your second.
So question, can we have, from the last meeting, there were some questions about quorum and all that stuff. What, are we within?
Yes.
Is
We
it-
have a quorum right now, yes, so if we can.
Four,
Well, we
five
don't-
online,
Yeah, I mean, we had did we have a quorum at the last meeting?
yes.
Yes.
We did.
Okay, so we did, but we weren't able to do stuff because we didn't have.
We didn't have a quorum of the quorum. I mean, we didn't have a quorum who could actually meet when we were trying to set the last date.
Okay,
So in the previous meetings, we had enough people, 10 or 11, to say, yes, we're going to be at that meeting. So, which is why we set the meeting date. And then at that last meeting, we only had 8 at the most
That people could agree to.
that they could agree to. And so we did the doodle poll because we did not have,
We needed to convene a quorum.
We
You can
wanted-
meet without a quorum, you can't act.
right.
So
So we
there's no
wanted-
point in.
So we didn't want to set the meeting without having a quorum. So
Yeah, we have to act.
Yeah, thanks for doing the doodle.
Is the commission's desire to schedule a meeting with a quorum of the body with the NAVA group?
Yes.
So in other words, to basically invite the NAVA group
To come
the
to a
next,
meeting.
to the next commission meeting, is that? the-
Well, if they can meet on a Tuesday,
If
if they
they-
can't, we might be talking about a special session to meet with them so that we can.
well,
That
we
would still-
just talked about me going out there, trying to get 3 dates from them.
Yeah.
And then us doing a doodle poll, and then hopefully we get a quorum with that,
Yeah.
those 3.
Yeah.
If we don't, then go back to the drawing board, get 3 more dates.
Yes.
That will be an official
And
meeting.
keep going.
If it's official, it's a public meeting if it's a quorum. It's a public meeting.
It will be public.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's
Okay,
great.
but we did have a motion. I'm hearing that somebody wants to make a
He
motion.
made a
Yes.
motion
I
and,
second it.
and Barb seconded.
Yes, I would, and forgive me if it's poorly worded, so I would like to make a motion that for every committee member's selection of their top 10, they submit a rubric that shows how they scored each of their top 10.
Okay? And Barb, you seconded?
I do second.
Okay. All in, we have all in favor? Are you raising your
That
hand?
was in favor. I'm in favor.
Okay, so all in favor? I'm assuming all these hands are Anne Marie, Lan, Amanda, and Aaron, all are supporting that motion?
2, 8, 9.
Okay,
What are we missing?
all right. Any,
We didn't include that they'd be anonymous.
Yeah, so now would that be a separate motion or should that be in the same?
I think we should include it. Let's just amend the motion. You can do that. Amend the motion to say that the submissions
I'll
will
second
be
it.
oh,
anonymous.
thank you, Ellen.
All right, I would like to make an amendment that,
All right.
that the rubrics, each committee member sends in be anonymous to the public. The public doesn't
Okay,
know what.
but they're gonna sign them and submit it to the staff and
Yeah.
somebody will see that, right? And you seconded it. Okay.
Second that.
We're doing this vote again. All in favor of that amended motion? We've got Anne Marie, Amanda, Aaron, Lan online. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Do we have any against that motion? Amanda, your hand's still up.
You can ask for abstentions too.
I will get to the abstention. Nobody,
I just for abstention.
but thank you for the direction. I appreciate that.
We're very helpful.
You are. So there's no one against, any abstaining from that vote. Okay, Marlena is abstaining and so is Catherine. So we've got two abstentions. Got it. Is there, yeah, okay, great. How many?
How many commissioners? Sorry.
11.
You have 11 here? So then 11, okay. So that's, how many voted for then? 9?
9.
So 9 out of 19 commissioners? Well,
There's
out of what's here, right? Is that what we're going?
Yeah.
We're going by for this.
It's a
Okay.
quorum of the.
Okay. All right, any other comments or discussion about that?
About that, no, but, Brian, when possible, could you go back to the timeline again?
Yes. Absolutely. Yes, where would we like to?
From some, yeah, that's good. So let's see, we finalize the top 10.
You want to start like eating dinner for you and Jason?
You go to the next slide?
Want dinner? Are you feeding us?
Okay, so, yeah,
Okay, so September, we're doing top 10, January, we're doing top 5.
So just to clarify, so the top 10 goes to the public vote.
And the top.
Of the top 5 vote earners,
Mhm.
then the commission looks at those 5 and says, we're gonna boil it to 3, and then write a report for final.
and we present the 3 to the county executive, right? And, but, you know, if we go back to the timeline, there is a public review and comment process that happens before we actually start our formal review, of the designs. So just,
Yeah, let me ask for, what is the public hearing on designs received? And are we publicly discussing designs and beginning ranking? Just explain that, March number 5. Oh, is that our meeting?
That is,
that,
No, we're having a public hearing. Okay.
so the
you're
executive
going
order.
to be listening to
People
the
testify.
people testifying or making comments on the designs.
Okay, so we get 500. We're gonna have public comments in this hearing on their designs, presumably. People will come in and comment on them, or
I think they might say.
they'll all be posted and people will come and
They're all going to be posted, and we will have an opportunity, both the public and the commission will have an opportunity to preview those designs, all 500. You've gone down from 1,000 to 500. I'm just
No,
telling
it's
you.
okay. I'm getting the sense of what the public hearing is
Okay.
about.
And then there's the public hearing, yes, and
And they may comment on the design criteria, they may comment on
Just
the
whatever.
need for doing it, they may
yes, they,
comment on
yes.
half of them should be thrown away. I mean, whatever it is they want to say, that will be part of the public comment process. That's what a hearing
But
is.
the council's not involved, just
No,
us.
just us.
Okay, got it.
But we are going to try to schedule a room other than this.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
okay.
And then we're gonna
And I
discuss.
have a comment about the public hearing. The thing that comes to mind for me is what if someone who's testifying accidentally or on purpose gives away the name of the designer?
Good point.
Yeah, we'll have to warn them ahead, and should they start to say that, someone would stop them.
Or if they're testifying on behalf of their own design and they say their name when they go to
They
testify.
have to say their name to testify.
Yeah,
Well, the rules will be that you can't comment on your own,
okay.
because these are anonymous.
I don't know if we can
Can we
prevent
do
someone from.
Just need to have somebody really good and quick on the ready, that's
Really
all.
quick.
Saying
You
that,
just have to have, for the designs that are up, you just make sure that there's numbers on them. And
Yeah.
you make sure that everybody understands before they testify,
Yes,
that they can only
refer to the
say that if we're
Right.
referring to whichever one you're referring to, please look at the number and say the number. and then just have somebody on the ready to just cut mic. everything, and start taking care.
Say,
That somebody starts to say a name and everything, cut mic, everything, and
or if they've said their name and now halfway through they say, this is my design.
Right,
That-
right. And I don't even envision someone doing this, on purpose. I just,
No.
I could see a parent
just
or,
passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the fact that they will all be numbered and the fact that we're asking you to comment on the collection, on the process, on whatever, whatever is out there, it's there and, reminding them that these designs are anonymous.
How many minutes do they get?
Oh, they get 3, right?
Hmm.
It's a public hearing.
these public hearings are 2 minutes.
No, that's comment, that's not a hearing. That's public comment at a meeting, which is different than, public hearings are usually,
3 minutes unless you're representing an organization, then you get 5.
but they changed that.
And then after the public hearing, we'll discuss
But I don't
designs, begin
You want
writing,
to say 2?
time permitting.
Yes,
Okay, and then we'll have another meeting.
college just got out of the budget hearing.
Right.
Okay. Amanda, your hand. Is that
Sorry.
still up from,
Sorry.
okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. Yeah, so we can. We want, on the, next on the agenda is to try to set a date for the September hearing date.
I think we want to send that out to the majority. I mean, I think we want to send that out to the whole commission.
Yeah.
Because I think if it's fine that we're acting as we have, but here we have time. And I would think we would want to make sure we hear from as many
Yeah.
people as possible to have the best chance of having a quorum or an overwhelming majority.
Well, we have
So I
Labor Day, state fairs that month.
I don't know how busy the Banneker room is, for instance, if we needed to reserve that.
Council is off in August, but not in September.
How often, I mean, so how hard is that? So again,
Why don't you let's get dates from the county government and find out what would be available, and then we circulate that in the same way we've done everything else. I just think it's good to get as broad a comment as possible from the members. If you're not here and this has been decided and you've been cut out from it without having a chance to indicate your availability, I think when these are big things where we're, trying to be as
so I've never tried to reserve the Banneker room. Have you, Brian? So
Yeah.
can we get like 3 dates that we can circulate to the group?
Probably.
Okay.
Great.
Perfect.
But also to Mark's point, September might be a busy month. We're having both meeting 5 and 6 in September, or is that just, meeting 6 is like a placeholder in September? What are your thoughts? Are you just plotting that, or?
Based on working back
Well, yeah,
from the executive order prescribed delivery date of the report in February. A lot of this other stuff starts to fall into place, so this is, the working assumption is that we would have completed the vote before the holiday, before the beginning of the new year. So that there'd be time to take that data, and give it to the commission ahead of their January meeting. That there would be a lot of deliberation over all of that feedback that was provided, and that the commission would be able to, develop some recommendations that would then get finalized and reported out at the beginning of February. So it all kind of like backs in from there. The assumption is public participation has to be essentially October to December to give meaningful time for that voting to happen. So that there's a little flexibility between, meeting 6 happening in last week of 6 September and beginning of October. To provide that 60 to 90 day window for public participation for the voting.
I think we should wait. My thought is that we should have the meeting with Nava, that's who it is, Nava, is that what it is? I think we should have that. I think the goal should be at this stage, the meeting with Nava and the most important thing, have as many commissioners as possible. Some of the commissioners, this is their, second time now that they haven't, back to back, that they haven't come. So we're not even sure how many, we have to get a hold, I just think we should get a hold of the commission here and know what we're working with here. Get everybody on trained here, have the Nava meeting with the goal of that, if we have as many people, a super majority, if you will, because we don't have that right now. I mean, I'm kind of uncomfortable with some people that I know that really do have a voice, that really do think of it. They're not here tonight. We're not hearing from them at all. And we're making decisions again, and I know that we can, but now we're doing things, we are continuing, some of these people, this is now the second time we're doing things and that they're not being part of. I think we get everybody on deck, as many people as possible, so that we know that this is a core group here that we've got here for that Nava meeting, and get trained on that. When we've got them there, then we've got the supermajority, then we go and set the next meeting for that, because we've got everybody dedicated. We don't have to worry about the dual polls for it or everything. So
Yeah,
it's
so
just my thought.
in terms of the Nava meeting, the way I saw this happening, so right now it's April, okay? We have May, June, and July. So between May through July, that's approximately 90 days. And that's still a month before we meet again. So I'm pretty confident that, the chairwoman would be able to get a meeting with Nava before September. I don't see that being an issue at all.
Because I'd like to see how many, that would give us then also, which I think is gonna be possibly, I know we're saying not 500 submissions. I mean, okay, I don't, but yes, I think we should have a better sense before we lock in, because what happens, let's just play devil's advocate here. What happens, we go and set all this up and we have this, and okay, we're gonna have this meeting and so forth, set all this stuff in stone, everything, and then we find out that we have exactly 10 submissions, that we're all gonna be voting on 10, and what, ranking just 10? But then we've cut it off, we're locking ourselves into things we're not really sure about how, so that's why I'm saying that I don't think that we should be doing that. I think that we should have a little reprieve here, get all people on, hands on deck too, and have another check here, a check-in with staff, technical staff report to say, where does it look like we're looking at here? How many viable entries do we have at this point? Because surely we can't, I mean, I don't think we talked about this, but maybe we will, or maybe we won't have to do it, but is there a minimum number that we're looking at that we want to at least be able to have? Because what if we only have 10? Is that right? Then we just have 10, then that'll be easy for what you're suggesting, because we'll all just it'll be the 10.
Now, remember, we wrote in the guidelines that we could extend it if we needed to.
And so if we need to extend, then we shouldn't be setting these dates. That's what I'm saying. And so I think we should take our temperature.
We can make a date for September without any issue. Do you see a problem with meeting with Nava between now and July or June?
Well, as earlier.
Yes, I don't.
I think the earlier the better.
I think the earlier the better.
Before people start.
Yeah.
Yes, so I will definitely try, first of all, I'll ask them.
Yeah.
Like, is it,
But setting that.
earlier or later, right? We want to do it earlier, but what do you recommend?
Yeah.
And get 3 dates at least and start doing those, so.
Yeah, so I really understand what she said about not approving this tonight, but I do want to say I'm very grateful that staff put this timeline together, because I think it's an evergreen, it's a draft, it's evergreen, and yes, we have several reactive points along this timeline, so it's flexible, we can react when the time is appropriate. But I think you got a good start here, because I would do the same thing. I would go to the deadline in February and I'd work my way back and try to lay out something that seemed rational. And you've done that, so thank you. But it may not end up being quite that, right? So we just don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
So I think that's a valid point, but I'm really glad this is in the can. It's a draft. It says draft. And we're good to go on the draft, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
I agree with you.
And it's giving people an idea of what kind of commitment we're asking from them.
Yeah,
So
which is a lot.
they can make sure that they can make time within these places to be, so as many as possible are already thinking about this, instead of having it come up
Come up
2
with
weeks
one
before and
meeting.
saying, oh, I can't do that because of whatever.
And then also to that point, I mean, if we needed more time to, like, let's say in September, after we have the public hearing, and then our second meeting in September, if there was a need to meet again in terms of our rubric or scoring, we could do that because like this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Nothing set in stone,
Cool.
but we do know the key critical control points in the time.
Yeah.
And,
That's great.
and I really think it's important for the commissioners to be able to set aside in their heads
Yeah.
that they're gonna have to be available at these points along the timeline. It's not a specific date to find right now, but to think about that and understand what kind of commitment they've made by serving on the commission.
Right.
Because if there's gonna be a shifting, and there might, if there's because as the executive, as it's created, again, I'll go back to that, it actually mentions organizations. So it does create that people can be fluid in and out. If we're gonna have to spend time bringing somebody up to speed because somebody
Right.
something has happened or whatever
Yeah,
else,
that's
or
the
whatever,
worst case scenario.
whatever's going on, and I don't know what's going on. I just see what I see and everything and stuff. So
Right.
again, to just be preemptive about it, I think that's what we should be considering.
Alrighty, so, we're not setting September hearing date. We're not setting the next meeting date. I'm charged with getting some
Figure into what we're doing.
doodle poll, okay. And then Joel is not here. I know that he's waiting to do some public comment, so.
Did he go outside? Should I go?
Yeah, can you find him? Unless there's anything else for the good of from the group, online.
Who's calling user 3? That's new. Who's that?
I said calling user 2. Is that
Who's that?
user 3? I thought user 3 was Aaron. I think it is. I don't know
Aaron's
who
right.
user 2 is though.
Well,
Is-
Aaron's right there.
Yeah.
They're only
I
library.
think I'm user 3.
Who's that?
I'm calling because it's broken.
Oh, Aaron, is that you, Aaron?
Yeah, I think user 3 is me because because my mic isn't working on my computer, I had to call in on my phone.
Okay.
Calling user 2, would you like to make any comment this evening?
Hi, this is Anne Marie. I'm user 2.
Oh.
Sorry. I was having issues earlier with connecting to the sound. So yeah, I'm user 2. And the comment I was trying to make earlier was just that I'm with the board of the Howard County Chamber of Commerce, so I'm going to be sharing that flyer with them as well and asking them to pass it around.
Thank you.
Great.
Maureen.
Thank you very much. All right, we're at the public comments.
Going next door. Front of your, right. Thank you, Helen, for a second before you. Joel Hurwitz, as I mentioned to Marlena, I had visions of when I was listening to the state board during the pandemic, when they said they were trying to build a plane while they were landing it. So I don't understand how you don't know how you're going to pitch the contest and ask for submissions when you're not sure how you're going to judge them. Seems the public to know that when they're thinking what they're sending you. Regarding your secrecy thing, I've never understood how that was gonna work. You're all gonna have to stop reading Facebook because people posting their flags there, you're gonna see them. I also think a lot of all this secret stuff and the secret stuff from your judging is gonna be disclosable under the Public Information Act, particularly ask for all the emails to Brian or to Flag. So I don't know how you're gonna work through all those things. I don't think it's gonna work. Government can ask for all the emails, and then make a blog. And as I testified before, I believe you need to suggest the council effective date, and they're gonna ask for people's advice. I was looking at Frederick County, the recent flag. I don't know what you talked to them about how they went through their contest, but I saw their announcement was on Flag Day. Not that it was the effective date, that was their interim date, so, but it postponed, but you're still not sure how this is gonna end. So, and I hope you don't change the rules in the process of figuring out how you're gonna grade things.
Yeah, the criteria, I mean, I think Barb mentioned it, but the criteria is very important. But you're it, okay, thank you very much. Righty, so without any further business to conduct?
I just want to, this brings up
Okay.
this brings up a good point, and I think I might have said this before to someone, but I don't remember who. So, I do think it important, again, I'm going to strenuously say, suggest, I really do hope that somebody, or commissioner, if it's staff or somebody, that they are keeping track of what in particular, I don't recall what the two women who came in, I think the first two meetings, everything, the things that, especially when somebody has asked questions and everything else, I do want to make sure that we are like being, it's one thing to get, to receive stuff, but I just want to make sure that we are checking off the boxes and that we are being some modicum of being responsive to what people are saying, everything, so that, again, that goes to the public perception of us and things. So I do hope that, thank goodness they're being taped and everything, but I would suggest before we go too far in, that if someone can go from staff, maybe for us, and just rewind the tape, everything, so to speak, for the last ones, and any public comments and everything, and just kind of jot them down and everything and have them, for us. I mean, not that the public can't already see them, they can. But that's the thing, I haven't been seeing how many times those have been being viewed. So I don't know how prolific or how widely discussed. I just know what I see in Facebook groups that I'm a member of and what's being said. So this general perception that we're just charging ahead and just doing, and we're not paying attention to the public, that's going to be, that's a hurdle that we have to contend with that. So anything that we can do on our end in advance of when we get to interface with them at whatever public hearing in September, I think would do us really well to try to take a hold of that now and so that we prepared for it in September. That's it.
Thank you. So we will adjourn. Is there a
I make a
motion?
motion that we adjourn, tonight's meeting.
I'll second, though technically we could do it by consensus.
I know, Ellen, you always say
I like
that, so I know you do. All righty, all in favor of adjourning? Right? And everyone online, except, are there any, does anyone want to continue? Okay. All righty.
Is that me? No, probably, because you're.
Well, thank you all. This was very good discussion. And yes, Joel, the criteria is guiding us. It has to guide us through all of the discussions, all of the judging.